Two brothers have been given jail sentences totaling 17 years for their roles in an operation to supply large quantities of Class A drugs in Bradford. Daniel Shaw, who's 25, was imprisoned for 10.5 years after the police seized 30 kilos of heroin worth around £1.5 million. It was stored in laundry bags, concealed under a blanket at an address in the city, along with almost £100,000 in cash in a padlocked sports bag. Joseph Shaw was jailed for 6.5 years after he transported 2 kilos of heroin from London to Bradford. Daniel Shaw pleaded guilty to conspiracy to supply heroin, cocaine and cannabis. Joseph Shaw admitted being concerned in the supply of heroin and conspiracy to supply cocaine and cannabis. The prosecutor, Alistair Campbell, told Bradford Crown Court that the police found the 30 kilos of heroin and nearly £100,000 in cash at a third man's home on August 2, 2021. He was storing them to help pay off a drugs debt. He went to the police to tell them about the hoard of drugs and cash, maybe to end his involvement in the enterprise because he was being exploited by those higher up the chain. 3 days later, Daniel Shaw was arrested after a phone he was using was traced by good old-fashioned policing and found hidden under the sofa at his home. The police seized £2,000 in cash from his address. Mr. Campbell said that on one occasion when drugs were suspected of being moved around, a taxi driver in Bradford remarked on the way to the bags being put in his boot, saying they had affected the vehicle's suspension. Joseph Shaw was arrested on November 2, 2021, after the police became suspicious that he too was involved. Incriminating messages between the brothers show that they'd been plotting to become involved in the drugs business between March and August 2021. No cocaine had ever been found, but the messages showed the idea of purchasing decent stuff and that cannabis was being grown at Joseph Shaw's address. Mr. Campbell said Joseph Shaw had spoken of wanting that Ricky lifestyle, referring to a glamorous and lavish lifestyle lived by a man in Spain. Neither defendant had any previous convictions. In defence, their solicitor said that Daniel Shaw, he was only 23 when he got involved in drugs enterprise out of greed and stupidity. He had left home at 21 and began associating with undesirable people. It was, for him, a way of making some quick money perhaps. He had fallen into temptation and greed and had already begun to rehabilitate himself. Family members were in court to support him, and references and testimonials spoke highly of him. He was making good progress in prison on remand, taking courses and earning a trusted status in the jail. Speaking on the fact that both men would be jailed, the defence said, for a family to lose 2 sons in an unmitigated disaster, Daniel Shaw was in a very dark place, and he asked the court to give him some light at the end of the tunnel. He had shown contrition and remorse, and he is now going in the right direction. The defence for Joseph Shaw said that he was a courier on 2 occasions, bringing a kilo of heroin, both times from London to Bradford. He said he had little awareness or understanding of the scale of the operation. There was no evidence of the multi-kilo transporting on his part. His defence said he was held in high regard by many people. He had spent a long time in custody and was assessed by the probation service as being at very low risk of reoffending. He also pointed to the fact that no actual cocaine was ever purchased or sold. The judge said the men came from hard-working, law-abiding families and had never been in trouble before, but drugs blight communities and ruin lives. The brothers had been in pursuit of a lifestyle out of their reach and didn't care about the damage they were inflicting on communities. The judge also set out a Proceeds of Crime Act timetable to calculate and seize the money and assets made from the drugs enterprise. So guys, this is a new story coming from Bradford, where 2 brothers have been jailed over an operation to supply large amounts of Class A in Bradford. It's your boy GC. Keep it locked, keep it real.